Okay, I still don't see Andreas here, but I guess he will show up soon. Welcome, as you all noticed when you joined the meeting, and we are recording it so that we can distribute it to our colleagues that can't be here right now. There are a lot of us teaching or doing other things. And also there is this press conference going on right now. I don't know what they're saying, but it might affect the outcome of this meeting as well. Either way, it's rather likely that most of our exams during the winter will be online. So I thought we should have a short workshop to share experiences and also to tell you a little bit about what we have been doing and also present what Eskil and Christina are doing and what they can help you with. There has been a lot of confusion when it comes to the exams, and it's not easy for all the examiners to invent the wheel over and over again. So it's better that we have some common ground. So the idea with this meeting is to start with to present the Canvas page where we have a suggestion what you can use. Don't see this as you have to do it. This is an offer. If you're used to having written exams in the room, we try to. This is the minimum amount of change. You prepare your exam. You do what you do best. You prepare a good exercises for the students, and then we upload that PDF onto the Canvas page. And if you're happy with that, and then Eskil and Stina will provide someone, that's the tricky word, the people that are actually watching the students doing this, and also all the information about you need to provide for the students, what they need, and so on. All of this is sort of packaged onto a simple Canvas page, and they make one Canvas page for each exam, and all the students that sign up for the exam will automatically come to that page. It also makes it really important for them to actually sign up, otherwise they will not have access to the exam. I think this is one of the things that has actually improved. The number of students signing up for the exams has actually matches the students that do take the exam. And after that, I will talk a little bit about how can we extend it. Maybe the normal exam is not the optimum. If we now have the chance to make some changes, maybe we can use them and make the exam a little bit better. And then we have Sandra Nilsson from Genombrottet, or you're not called Genombrottet anymore, you're called Center for Education. And she will tell us what I said wrong and also help with the technical details and some information about what the exams in the spring, what did the student think about them, and how what can we learn from that. So with that said, let's we have this page on like this Canvas page with resources for all the teachers. I think, and again, Stina, you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think all the teachers at Physicum can access this Canvas page. Here is a lot of information about changes due to Corona, and also information on how to use Canvas. I mean, we will be using Canvas a lot, both teaching and in the exams. Why is the sharing paused? Can you see the Canvas page?
Yes.
Yes, good. Zoom is constantly changing. And then in this, there are two modules. One is all the general information we've had about exams online. There is a guide for the teachers. There are instructions that you can use for the students. So this is the information that we tried to make during the summer, just to have a little bit in common, and also how to use these responders and the lockdown browser. And a lot of that information is just links to other Canvas pages that, for instance, Sandra has made with information about this. So the technical information. I think most of the technical information you don't need to worry too much about, because that will be set up for you. If you want the lockdown browser in your exam, you say that to Eskil or Stina, and they will set it up so that it will work. But you need to tell them about this. And then there is now this exam module. I think we should translate all of this. We are working on it right now, so we are really trying to set this up at the moment. So we make it the Swedish version first, and then we translate it into an English version as well. And this is for you to see what will your exam page on Canvas look like. For instance, here about the exam, this is a short instruction that you can copy paste and tell the students what they need. They need a computer with a camera. They need a phone. The web browser seemed to be important. Google Chrome seemed to be the one that worked best with Canvas. Here I added, from my course, they were allowed to write on an iPad if they wanted to, because I thought that was easier. I used a book. Any formulas they are allowed. Some of this is, of course, different from course to course. So here you need to copy this and edit it a little bit. This is just to have some first information about it. Then for the actual exam, there is a little bit more information on how to really do it. So this information, at least I have provided on the exam Canvas page, so that they get it as soon as the registration for the exam closes. They can access this page and they can see all this information on how they should prepare for the exam. And one of the things that's important is that they need to test different program to make PDF format. That's the easiest. They write their solutions on paper. They take a photo, make it into PDF, and they need to know where it is. So usually you add, say, 15 minutes after the exam where they have time to take the camera, take the phone, take photos, and then start to upload these to the Canvas page. This is all assuming that you have a normal exam where you give them a PDF that they read, and then they write all the solutions on a piece of paper, and they photocopy that. I must say this works really well. I mean, these programs work well, but they should test it in advance. And by now, most of the students have actually had a lot of online exams, so they're used to this, and it doesn't take very long. But and then there should be a Zoom meeting for this, I don't know, surveillance. I usually have the students, I open the Zoom channel 1 hour before the exam so that they can start drop in, set things up, and ask questions if they need to. And then sort of more general information. This will be on the page if you need to add or subtract something, if you want something different. Of course, you can do that. I see now that I've added that the exam will look different for all the students. This is something I've tried to reduce the amount of the possibility to cheat, or the willingness to spend time trying to cheat is more likely. I don't think we should make it too complicated for most of the students. It should be like as normal as possible, but the students that behave should also feel that no one else is cheating. So that's the main part. So I usually randomize a few numbers so that there are 4 or 5 different versions of each exercise, and then the combinations of all of that. So Canvas will help you with that if you choose to do that. But that's, of course, is something further down if you want to make changes. So as I said, we are working on this information. We are working on making this page module on Canvas available for you, but I think you should know that it exists. And then also Eskil and Stina will help you with the what's the name for that? Tentavakt. I constantly forget it. It's really complicated.
It's Invigilator.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think Eskil said something like roughly 1 invigilator per 25 students ish is what they normally have, and that's also what they will have for these exams. So before the exam, you need to talk to Eskil or Stina, just that they will make this Canvas page for you. They will contact invigilators, and in principle, the starting point is all you need to do is make your normal exam with what we usually have 8 questions, but that's again up to you, and make sure that it's ready to be uploaded on the Canvas page. You can upload it in advance and then make sure it's available. Here, I'm not sure. I have not used the lockdown browser so much, but I okay, Sandra, do you turn on the lockdown browser after you've downloaded the PDF, or how do you do that?
So what did you mean? After you?
I mean, if you put because I had students that had a problem with the formulas because they had turned on the lockdown browser and then the formula was on they couldn't open the PDF file on the Canvas page.
If you use lockdown browser, you shall only use it together with the quiz. So I recommend to have everything inside the quiz, and maybe also not the downloaded PDF, but instead and the PDF as an image inserted in the quiz instead. That's
Okay.
safer, I would say.
Okay.
But maybe you can download a PDF, but maybe you can't.
I think you can't. If the PDF is outside the quiz, you can't download the PDF, even if it's on the same Canvas page.
Yeah, exactly. And even inside it I mean,
okay,
it's a possible source of trouble, so to speak, even if it's theoretical possible.
Okay, so but we write some information on how you should provide the exam. I mean, the first, make sure that you have your PDF, or at least that you have your exam ready for before the time for the exam, and upload it so that we can test it. We need to add a little bit about where to add it here. So that is the basic sort of baseline. I think from there we can go a little bit further. I'll do my other presentation here as well. The continuation. I base this on an exam with 8 exercises. I don't know. I mean, this is just because I'm used to that. And as I said, the first thing to do is you distribute the exam through Canvas. You make and also you collect the exam through Canvas. I mean, that's rather straightforward. You have them read the exam on this Canvas page, and you make them upload the PDFs on this Canvas page afterwards, so that you can correct it from there. Here is something that you can think about. I don't know, I've done both versions. Maybe you want to add a small break. 5 hours is a long time for a normal exam. You can split it up in 2 or 3 parts. It gets a little bit complicated. The fast students that want to move on were a little bit frustrated that there were a break after 2 hours, and then but it's something to think about. How can we change the format and make it a little bit better? the next thing is, and this really goes along the line what Sandra said, you have a quiz. In Canvas, you can have a quiz, and instead of having just one file with all the questions, you divide it into 8 units, and you make one quiz unit out of each of these. That's how I normally do it. I think that's an easier way of doing it, and this really makes it easier if you're several teachers correcting the exam. You can correct the different numbers at the same time. So some of you might start from the back, and some from the beginning. You decide who should correct what, and if it's already broken up into 8 units, that's really a straightforward thing to do. And once you've done this, you have your normal exam. You split it in 8 pieces, not 7 like Voldemort, but in 8. Maybe you can start thinking of a new format. You can there is a possibility in Canvas in the quiz to have different formats. You don't only have to have the normal, here's a question, do the calculation, write the answer. You could use multiple choice. You could answer with a number. You could have different combinations, which goes with which. Some of these take some time to make. However, it can also make it much easier to correct. You can have some of these can actually be pretty good to have them auto-corrected. I don't think that you can make a very good exam that everything is auto-corrected. Maybe you can, but at least some of the questions can definitely be auto-corrected, and I think that is a good idea. As I said, it's easy when it's broken up like this. You can use different exercises for different students. You need to think a little bit about how you do this so that the questions are not, the difficulty should be about the same. But for my course in thermodynamics, if it's 5 kilos of ice or 6 kilos of ice, doesn't make that much of a difference. But the student, there is no point in talking to each other because you don't know which question they have. And also it's easy to see if they've talked to each other and all of a sudden there is the wrong number in their calculations, you can assume where it came from. So this is a way to reduce the possibility to cheat, really, without too much of an effort. And then I like to think that, okay, we can make other things possible. You could use small clips, films in the, I tried that. I don't think that will work with the lockdown browser perhaps, but you can also have them do MATLAB group exercises. It's perhaps easier to split the exam in 2 parts where they do the exercise once, and then they get the possibility to talk to each other and continue to work with it. One thing I found that was actually quite useful for the learning of this was that instead of just giving them the answers to the questions after the exam, I made a small movie where I go through all the exercises and talk about how I think they should have solved them rather than just giving them the answer. So they need to listen to me explaining to them a good solution in order to get the solution. And I think that's actually a good way of learning, so that the exam is not just a test but also part of the learning. And this then, oops, I forgot to translate that one. I mean, I really think that we should educate and examine creative engineers, and I'm not sure that the normal exam in a room for 5 hours with pen and paper is the best way to encourage this, so that there can be other formats. But I also understand that developing these things takes time, and not all of you want to do that, and that's why we sort of try to offer the baseline, where most of what you need to do is what you've always done. You make a good exam, but now you, instead of walking down to the exam hall in the morning, you upload your questions onto Canvas. There is much more that you can do to be creative with this. And much more changes you can do. But this is sort of a starting point and something to offer those of you who just want to make a normal exam and wait until things are back to normal when you can have written exams. Are there any first direct questions about this or comments? Okay, Per is waving.
Very practical question. I mean, I like the idea of having a break in the middle of 5 hours, but I guess apart from that, we have to kind of allow the students to, for example, go to the restroom and so on. How do you have you handled this in any specific way, or is this somehow included in the instructions to the ones with the difficulty in English, tentavakterna?
The invigilators, yeah. Yes, I usually tell them, of course, you're allowed to go to the bathroom or something. That the need for that is reduced if you have a break. You have a 15-minute break in the middle, and they know that there will be a break. But otherwise, what they do is that they write in the chat to the invigilator so that they know in advance.
But you don't try to regulate it more, or I
No.
guess we're not even allowed to. But when you have the 8 units that you talked about, does that mean that they have to finish 1 unit before they go to the next, or it's just
well, you could do it like that if you want to, but you don't have to. You have all the 8 questions. I can show
just for
what
the correction, basically, that this is.
Yeah, I think I can show my exam. It's a lot of examples from me. I think there are many others that have example, but I can. But so here is what the page looked like that they got. Here is the information. Here is where they find the Zoom channel. They have the formulas. Before the exam, I had the example exams online. I closed them during the exam because I think it would be wrong for them to look at the old exams while they took the other ones. I had a few quizzes that they could practice on that were part of the course, but they could also practice on this during. And then for the actual exam, there was the formulas again. Maybe what Sandra said, you need to include this in the exam. Email information if something goes wrong, they could contact me or the invigilator. And then the actual exam was one of these quizzes with information. And let's see. Yes, so here my first question was, you can't put question 0 for some reason, but I promise not to talk to anyone during the exam, not to use anything not allowed, and I'm aware that cheating will be treated the same way online as a regular, and so that you just start by clicking true here. And then instead of having a PDF, I wrote the information about I wrote down the questions, but they upload a file here. So here I didn't have many, in this exam, there wasn't many interesting questions about how to, I just made a PDF out of each question. But like this one with a thermos of different amount of water and temperatures, I mean, all these temperatures and numbers could be changed easily and randomized. Same here. I mean, you're a diver at a certain depth. I mean, you could have 30 meter, 35 meter, 40 meter, and eventually it's no point talking to the others. The diameter could change. So this was rather straightforward, rather not that interesting, but a normal exam, but divided up into 8. And they could read all of these at the same time. And then they just at the end, they uploaded a file, one file for each. It really helps correcting the exam. And then some students, of course, said, okay, they didn't manage to break it up into 8, so they uploaded 1, and some couldn't upload, so they emailed it. But it worked really well for most of them. So that is one way of doing it. And then, of course, you could develop these. You take one of these, and instead of having a file to upload, you have some combinations of answers, or you have multiple choice questions, or something that can then be corrected afterwards automatically. With the correction here, I mean, I noticed some difficulties with Canvas, Sandra. I can ask you. I started to correct, and then all of a sudden, I of course I don't want the students to see while I'm correcting. I want to publish it afterwards. But when I've gone through half the exam, all of a sudden it was published without me doing anything. So then, of course, the student got nervous and asked me why they didn't get credit for all the questions.
So, and that was inside a quiz.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but with assignments, you can make them quiet and then release all the results afterwards. I guess it's the same for quizzes, but I never actually thought about it.
No, I thought when I clicked this little eye to make it invisible, but then it unclicked itself when I corrected one of the.
Okay.
But that's a detail. But that's something to be aware of, that you should try to. It's a little bit annoying. Maybe when you correct the exam, you don't want the student to see your comment during that, or maybe you want to change something. So make sure that you try to hide it. Yes, Don.
I guess one solution might be to simply unpublish that page while you do the corrections, and then you can publish it again. So then you are safe, right?
I think so.
You never know.
I don't think that you can unpublish something that's when someone has submitted solutions. Is it right?
I can try with this exam, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the whole course. That's not possible.
Yeah, the exam don't want to be unpublished. I can't.
The exam.
And the quiz, I can't unpublish the quiz now when students have started to work on it.
No, but can you unpublish the whole page? I mean, the whole course.
The whole Canvas page.
Yeah.
Eventually, you can do that. So I think that should be possible.
No, I don't think so. Actually, as soon as students have started submitting things, assignments or quizzes, then you can't unpublish the course page. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Sandra.
I think we've done that.
It sounds correct. I don't know, but I think we have to look into this about correcting the quizzes. It should be possible, not easy. It should be possible to make it quiet during the correction time. But I have to look into that. So.
Excuse me. I think there's an option. I'm just trying to spot it. When you have the grade entry on the page where you have it all as a big table, you can say that you don't want it released until you are ready. But it's hidden as a little icon at the top.
Yeah.
That's the one I clicked, and it worked until I've started to correct. But I mean I think that is the right way to do it. It just you probably need to click it harder. I don't know.
I agree. I just haven't tried it on quizzes, but I agree that should be the way.
Yes. If there are no questions now, maybe you, Sandra, want to
I can add something about you showed your example exam where you uploaded the PDF like inside the question. And I just have to add that if you are running Lockdown browser, it is yeah, you can discuss whether it's possible or not to upload PDFs, but I would say you don't want to upload the PDFs in that way. So if you're running Lockdown browser, you probably want a free text area where you can maybe enter your just a numeric answer if you have one, or a short text as an answer, and then you may tell the student to upload the PDFs afterwards in a uncontrolled environment, like an ordinary assignment or so, which isn't supervised, but you have a pretty narrow deadline, so they have to upload their written things just directly after the exam, to avoid PDFs and the Lockdown browser together.
Yeah, I think that's the way a lot of teachers here have done it. Dawn did something like that.
Yeah.
So yes, during the exam you write the short answer in the, and then after the time for the exam is over, you have another 15 minutes to take photos and outside Lockdown browser upload the PDF, so you know that they're. Yes, no, I think that's a good way of doing it. If you want to use. One thing I didn't say. I'm sorry.
No, it may be related, or maybe you did say it, but just let me stress that if you use a Lockdown browser, which I did, and I think it was very successful, useful, but then you can also they cannot access a formula sheet unless you put it in the quiz as a problem also in the quiz.
Exactly. Everything in the quiz as text or image in the quiz. Yeah. Really good.
Yes. Yeah, the Lockdown browser is probably good if you really want to make sure that they can't go online and do something else. If you feel that it's okay not to have the Lockdown browser, it makes the making of the exam much easier. But I think it's good. I mean, aiming for open book exams and open web exams in the end, it's perhaps a good thing. Okay, Sandra. So other experience from the spring.
I'm kind of impressed by you here, actually. You're doing a good job and you offer so much help to the teachers. We on computer science we get no help, and you still offer the opportunity for the teachers to choose how to do it, and I think that is also, which they didn't, I think, on math, for example. So I think you're doing really well. If I should add something, I could just encourage you that maybe this isn't that bad, exactly as Johan also told you, that maybe if you have some time and want to think about this, it could, maybe not, but it could lead to a better assessment in the end. The CQ results for the LP4, that is the last period of this spring, it shows that that the student felt that the exams got more based on understanding. If we compared those figures to the previous year's figures on the same questions. So of course we don't know why. Maybe it's because we got more open book exams and so in general. But I don't know, maybe that's a good sign. We also saw that the results got a little bit better. So you have, how to say, more credits taken on LP4 this year than previous years. But that I won't speculate in because you could argue that it is more cheating, that teachers actually just canceled parts of their courses. In some, we have some examples that some assessments got canceled and they just solved it in another way or so. I wouldn't draw the conclusion that more credits taken meant that we got better teaching. But still, the CQ tells us that the students thought that the assessments maybe was a little bit better. So I think there is something good that can come out from this, actually. Even if it's so much work and so horrible in many ways. Yeah.
Have you looked into these extra questions that the students got? What they think about the online teaching?
Yeah. I looked into the results of the extra questions that I have formulated and some of the teachers used. And my conclusions of that, I had an extra question that was about the structure of the digital material, and that correlates.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I had a question about the structure of the course, and that correlated really well with what the students thought of the course in general. So I could see that if you had a good structure, they also liked the course, or the other way around. So I could see some really interesting things there of what the students actually think is important in the end. Structure, and that to make it clear from the teacher side, to make it clear how you are supposed to use the digital material and how you're supposed to study on the course. That seemed to be really important things for them. Yeah,
thank you.
I think that was pretty much it. We have not yet decided how to advance with those extra questions, but it's work in progress.
Good. I think there might be some who want to ask questions that do not want to be recorded. So I pressed the stop by mistake before, but I pause the recording again.